And behind me is the Kent Showwear Center, the famous or infamous Showwear Center. Now in 2010, the city of Kent thought that a regional fire authority would be a great idea and save lots of money. Now, none of that has panned out. In the last 5 years, the Kent Regional Fire Authority has actually cost us taxpayers $70 million more than if the city would have maintained their fire service. And one of the victims of that $70 million that has been removed from the Kent community is this Showwear Center. That it should be profitable, but it hasn't been. It's been a real struggle for the city. Now, in 2010, when the city thought the Regional Fire Authority would be a great idea, they never hired a consultant just to be sure that maybe there would be some repercussions when $70 million is removed from the local economy. Hi, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Eric Bernard. For 16 years, my wife Karen and I ran a respected, successful business in the city of Tukwila. We're longtime property investors with over 20 years experience. We own property in both Kent and Auburn, and we know firsthand the brutal effects of the fire benefit charge. It's money that we used to have, but we don't anymore. We feel it is our civic duty to do our best and let the people in Tukwila know that this Kent Regional Fire Authority takeover is not a good idea. It's not joining the Regional Fire Authority. They're taking over. Nobody ever joined the Romans. They came and they took and they conquered. And that's exactly what's happening here. The Kent Regional Fire Authority, their prime objective is empire building. They want the tax base here in Tukwila. Behind me is Tukwila South. Now when the city of Tukwila, if you decide to give away your fire department to the Kent Regional Fire Authority, all of this goes with it. Now, I distilled the deal down in the simplest, most basic terms. You want your fire department fixed up, you want to spiff up some stations. You said you could do it for 47 cents a thousand over 10 years. That would be $23.5 million, and that money stays in Tukwila. Or you give the fire department, the Tukwila Fire Department, you give it away to the Kent Regional Fire Authority, and in 10 years that will cost $200 million. That's what it's going to cost the taxpayers. So it's pretty simple. $23.5 million, and you keep your fire stations and your fire department. You keep all your Tukwila money in Tukwila, or you give it all away and it costs your taxpayers $200 million. That's the choice. It's really simple. We're in Tukwila at single-family residence example 1 that was distributed at one of the later Regional Fire Authority Steering Committee meetings. Now I'll bring to your attention the structure in the back. Whoever prepared this analysis, they left off the 590 square foot apartment. So the fire benefit charge is wrong here on example 1. It's not $230. The projection based on, again, what the Regional Fire Authority has provided for us is $303 the first year. Now, if the city decides to keep the fire department and not give it away to the regional fire authority, that proposition would cost this owner of this property not $303 a year, but just $5.83 a month, and you get to keep your fire department and you get to keep your money in Tukwila. We're at the Tukwila pool here. It is a concrete building that houses water. The Kent Regional Fire Authority, based on the information that we have, the latest fire benefit charge calculation table, they want $2,800, a little bit less than that. That's over and above what the building would be charged. Now it is, again, concrete, it houses water, it is tax exempt, but it's not fee exempt. So the pool district, they'll be looking at $2,800 in fire benefit charge. The Kent Regional Fire Authority will assess this complex almost $26,000 right out of the chute. That's an equivalent levy rate of $5.12 a thousand. Example 6, this is a subsidized complex, so this is affordable or low-income housing. The subsidized funding likely from the state or the federal government. Now that means that almost $26,000 the first year is not going to be applied to maintenance or keeping low-income housing or keeping housing affordable. It's going to go right into the Regional Fire Authority, and they are not based in Tukwila. This is the Kent Regional Fire Authority. They are outsiders, so keep your money in Tukwila. Vote no, Kent Regional Fire Authority. We discussed the brutal FBC cost increase of this facility here behind us, this subsidized facility behind us. Now 60% of the housing units in Tukwila are rented. So it's complexes like this, or maybe single-family residence. As an owner, you've bought it, you've invested, you're renting it out now. Now 60% are rented, meaning that 100% of those units, well, you'll pretty much lose the money for maintenance and improvements to the Kent Regional Fire Authority. The FBC cost is absolutely brutal. King County Housing Authority, in the last 5 years, they have lost almost $750,000 to the Kent Regional Fire Authority. They, again, King County Housing Authority, like a lot of these organizations, are tax exempt, but they are not fee exempt. And here in Tukwila, like in Kent, you can't have clean, well-kept, affordable housing with an aggressive junior taxing district like the Kent Regional Fire Authority. Their FBC scheme will take every last dime you have for maintenance, upkeep, and improvements. In hotels like this one, the Kent Regional Fire Authority will assess the FBC at the much higher apartment rate. Behind me is the world-famous Boeing Flight Museum, and as a museum, it is tax exempt, but it is not fee exempt. Now, at these Kent Regional Fire Authority Tukwila meetings, the steering committee meetings, nobody has asked or had an answer for how much of an FBC, fire benefit charge, is going to be assessed the Museum of Flight. So here's the answer, and it's based on the latest Kent Regional Fire Authority Tukwila FBC formula. It's a little under $80,000 right out of the chute, and there is a new structure being built that's not reflected in this estimate or this projection. So Museum of Flight figure $80,000 more than they are already assessed. So in 5 years, that'll be $400,000. In 10, almost $800,000 plus any new structures. Now that does not include any hazardous assessment, which is on top of the fire benefit charge. The assessments for hazards could be anywhere from 30 to 40% higher. It's really pretty much what the Kent Regional Fire Authority decides to assess. So one of the steering committee meetings, the question of, are schools charged the FBC? And the answer from the Kent Regional Fire Authority, I believe it was Mr. Rabel, answered, no, we charge by the head. By the head, well, what do you mean? That means we charge about $1.10, $1.15 per student instead of charging the FBC. So the Kent Regional Fire Authority is going to charge the Tukwila School District by the student, and actually we checked with the Kent School District and it's about $1.22 a student. So figure that, or maybe some more for Tukwila, because it seems like the FBC is a lot more in Tukwila, so maybe the student fee will be a lot more. Regardless, the school district does get the money back from the state, but keep in mind, that's our tax money. After the last steering committee meeting, I had an opportunity to talk about the fire benefit charge with one of the key players of the committee. And while we were talking, I realized that the Kent Regional Fire Authority, after I think almost a year or two of romancing Tukwila, this person doesn't understand how the FBC system works. They were telling me that if you have a $5 million tax levy, that the FBC can only be 60% of that, when it really is 60% of your total budget. Okay, so that's how the budget of $12.5 million with a tax assess or a tax levy of $5 million plus the fire benefit charge of $7.5 million, that's how you come up with your budget. I mean, talk about being able to craft the dream budget. That is how the FBC works. So the Kent Regional Fire Authority, they have Tukwila at 58% of the budget. Now, let's just round it off to 60. And some concerns have been mentioned at these meetings that Tukwila won't have a say in the governing and how they govern. Well, let's talk about that. When it's 60% of their budget and 60% is the maximum that they can legally charge, what is left for you to budget for what is left for you to govern? Let's talk about governing. The governing board is fire. You have fire commissioners, or you have fire industry backed local council people. So there's no real representation that I can see that of the people. Additionally, the FBC scheme, because it's a fee, not a tax, it circumvents I-747. So there is no cap like with a tax levy. The IRS says that it's not tax deductible. Now, this all came up when the city of Kent decided that the Kent Regional Fire Authority would be a great idea, and you've already heard me talk about the $70 million that's been removed from the Kent local economy over the last 5 years. And at one of the meetings, Chief Schneider of the Kent Regional Fire Authority, he blamed the city of Kent itself, the council people, for any misunderstandings and that they were not transparent. Now, this is a really complicated deal here, and with the Kent Regional Fire Authority, what I have learned is that they will give you some information, but never enough information to risk a no vote. And that is exactly what happened in Kent. Those council people in Kent, they did the best they could do with the knowledge they had. Now, the city of Kent, they should have, in my opinion, and probably other people's too, they should have hired a consultant just to figure out, is this a good idea in the next 5 years to pull 70 million out of the local economy? And the answer most likely would have been no, it's not a good idea. The Kent Regional Fire Authority is simply a huge layer of expensive government. They are just after the tax dollars. So Chief Schneider, when he threw those council people under the bus, blaming them, I could not believe that. 2 of those council people sit on the Kent Regional Fire Authority governing board. So while we were putting together this video, we had the pleasure of meeting some of Tukwila's residents, and as we talked to them, they were asking us, you know, what are we doing? And we explained that the city of Tukwila is considering giving away all the fire stations to the Kent Regional Fire Authority, and their reaction was, what? What are you talking about? So I explained to them, and their reactions are as follows. They love the fire department. They're not interested in giving away our fire stations. Our firemen are great. And Kent can stay in Kent. They want no part of this. This is building number 10, or example number 10 of the RFA cost analysis for fire services. This was put together by the Tukwila Steering Committee. I'm not sure who put the numbers together, but the fire benefit charge is short by $2,000. It should be $10,707. Behind me is a property that was presented at the Steering Committee meeting. It's listed as a 1,500 square foot house, but the Kent Regional Fire Authority, they shorted the FBC because they didn't include the detached garage, which brings the square footage up quite a bit. So the actual FBC at a Kent rate would be $220. The Tukwila rate is $304. Now, this was presented in April of 2015. It has a date. It says Fire Exploratory Committee. It's from 2014, and this was from the Kent Regional Fire Authority. So this should not be included in any consideration. It, like the 2 other examples, number 1 and number 10, they also failed our FBC audit, so that is a total of 3 properties with the wrong FBC amount.